Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Dr. A for those of you guys that are new. My channel, I do some food reviews. I try to give you tips and tricks on how not to get tricked by pet food companies. We're kind of lighthearted, we have a good time, non-judgmental, and yeah, so today I thought I would share with you a case that came into my practice. So I practice 6 days a week, 5 days a week, whatever it is, in real life. So I see patients every day. And a lot of times, food does come up in the conversation. I find nutrition to be part of the overall toolbox that we can use. And so I know a lot of you guys really look to nutrition to solve specific problems maybe your pet is having. And I think that's a good idea, but it's usually part of a bigger picture. And so today I want to go over a real case with you. I'm going to change kind of the names and stuff, so that protect the innocent here. And we're going to go through a case. Now, if you're not interested in the case and you just want to get to the food review, and so that's a bit of a spoiler, it's going to be Pedigree steak dinner. Then I'll post a timestamp up here, maybe somewhere, and you guys can just skip through. But for all of you guys that want to do a good old-fashioned veterinary rounds, then stay tuned. So here we go. So the case is a very overweight, obese, large chow chow mix. She weighs 123 pounds, which is a lot for a chow chow. So she's very overweight, and owner's very concerned. That's why they're here. We've been working on it. We're not getting very far. She's limping now. We're having some skin problems. It's a whole thing. And so we start out with, stuff that we always start out in veterinary medicine.
Shouldn't we be speaking to the patient before we start diagnosing?
Is she a doctor?
No.
We do a differential. Why is this pet obese? What causes the obesity? So does she have a hormone problem? Does she have a thyroid problem? Does she have Cushing's disease? What's going on? Is it an activity? Is she lame and therefore she's not moving? It's an activity problem. What's going on? Why are we having trouble, losing weight and maintaining a healthy weight? So we do all the stuff. We run all the tests. We run the CBC. We run the chem. We run the T4. We run the UA, all of it. And they all come back normal. And so at this point, we are really starting to think maybe it's a diet. Maybe it is a primary diet problem. And so I asked the owner, what are you feeding? What's your daily food look like? And she says, I feed Pedigree steak. And so go ahead and do a little research for her, and I will show you kind of how I work through when I'm looking at a food label and doing a little interpretation to kind of help give a diet consult to one of my clients. So, okay, so for our purposes, one of the easiest places I think to do these reviews is Chewy, because they usually show all the sides of the package, because we really need to see all the sides of the package to be able to see what we want. So here you have your Pedigree. I don't know what size bag she's feeding or anything like that, but for our purposes, this is a 30-pound bag, and it's going to cost $26.99, so it's 90 cents a pound. And the very first thing that I did was I said, okay, well, let's check the guaranteed analysis. Let's make sure, we don't have excessive amounts of fat or, anything that is off kilter here. So 21% crude protein is fine, 10% fat minimum is fine. Now it's a minimum, so could it be more? It could be, but we're going to assume it's close to this. Fiber at 4% is good. Calcium at 1%, it's a minimum, and so could be more. 1 is at the top of the reference range, so we got to be cognizant of that. Phosphorus 0.8, again, at the top of the reference range. Vitamin E at 100 is kind of puny. 400 or above is what we want, but that's just vitamin E, and I don't think that's going to affect our obesity level. So this seems like this is going to be an appropriate guaranteed analysis. So that's not where the problem is occurring. The food is 309 kcals per cup, so we are going to need that later to check the calorie consumption. She told me she's feeding this pet 2 cups per day. And so 2 cups per day is only going to be about, let's do the math here, 618 calories. that is not a lot of calories for a 123-pound dog. So there's some disconnect happening there, and we're going to have to investigate this further. I calculated the resting energy requirement, and I'll put the calculations down below. I'll show you the formula that you need. But basically, you want to feed your pet the amount of calories for the weight they should be. You don't want to feed for the weight they are. So if we calculate the calories and we feed this 123-pound dog for 123 pounds, she will stay 123 pounds. We want to feed her for what we think she should be. So I try to be reasonable here. If I give you guys an unrealistic weight goal, then you're going to be frustrated. And so I said, okay, let's say 80 pounds. 80 pounds is a good weight, I think, to try to get down to. And, we can figure that out. And I think that'll be something that's attainable. And so we want to feed to 80 pounds. And that calculated out to be about 1,000 calories, and so she could actually feed 2.5 cups of this food and still be only feeding for a 80-pound dog. And so again, something here is just not adding up. So the next thing I always go to look and see is, what does the AFCO statement say? Because there could be some really important information there that I find quite often tricks people up. So for the AFCO statement, I had to look at the package, and as usual, you guys that are returning viewers know that the AFCO statement is always the tiniest, smallest, most hidden thing on the entire package, and I have to squint really hard to read it. So in this case, it says, it's right here, I'll put some arrows or something to show you. Pedigree adult, complete nutrition, grilled steak and vegetable flavor is formulated to meet the nutritional levels established by AFCO dog food nutrient profiles for maintenance. So this is an adult maintenance dog food. A lot of times people will fall into the trap of feeding in all life stages, and that's a puppy food. And so if this dog was getting an all life stage, there would be like 0% chance we would get the weight off, because you can't feed an overweight dog puppy food and expect to have any weight come off. So we're fine here. So then now I'm really starting to wonder, what is going on? And so, we go back, we talk about it again. So, what are you feeding? You're feeding 2 cups a day. Is it a cup? Are you using an actual measuring cup? Are you using a Dixie cup? Are you using one of those scoops? And she said, I'm using a measuring cup. It's an 8-ounce measuring cup from the kitchen. So that's great. That's not the problem. And then we get into, is there anything else? Are you leaving anything out? Is there anything else that we need to calculate here? And she said, well, the dogs, they're not super great about eating all of their food. And so in order to make sure they eat all of their food, I have to add chicken on top. And I'm like, okay, here's the problem. So we've got 2 things here. I think it's important, and I want you guys to know. One is, if your pet is not ill, they don't have a condition, like maybe they're getting chemotherapy, or they have a pain somewhere or something where they're not wanting to eat, and we have to encourage them to eat, you really shouldn't have to encourage a healthy dog to eat food. So if you're putting the food down and your dog is not finishing it, it's probably, and again, go over this with your veterinarian, there's different situations, but in most cases, a healthy adult animal, if they don't want to eat all their food, it's because they're not hungry. It's their brain telling them, I don't need to eat anymore. And so when we do things like add chicken or add cheese or add gravy or add something to entice the pet to eat, we're actually overriding their own mental innate response to say, look, I don't need any more calories. So that's issue number 1. Issue number 2 is we're taking a diet that's balanced. We went through the guaranteed analysis. It's been certified by AFCO as, providing complete balanced nutrition for adults. And we're taking that balance and we're unbalancing it by adding chicken. So if you think about a scale, and the scale is perfectly balanced, and on this side we add chicken, we're going to unbalance that scale. And so here is where the problem lies with this patient. Oh, they want me to look back at my memories from March 9th. But I have to sign in. We're not doing that. Okay. So, this is where the problem was. And so we had a heart-to-heart conversation. We really want to get the dog to lose weight. They really want to get the dog to lose weight. They want her to be healthy. They want her skin to be better. And so we said, look, let's just cut out the chicken. It's not necessary. And it's probably going to be extremely hard for me to give you a calorie count and factor in chicken because I don't know how much calories are in there. I don't know how much just fat is in there. It's very difficult. And so what we agreed on was 2.5 cups per day of this adult food. And we can add, some non-really calorically dense things to it if we have to. So we could add some frozen peas, we could add some frozen carrots, something like that. But we really need to stick to it because if we do that, after doing this whole workup, we should be able to get the weight down. We should get our mobility better and she should be happier. So, that's kind of a mini review and how to go through the food package for the Pedigree Complete Nutrition. Boils down to it wasn't Pedigree's fault. It really wasn't anybody's fault. We just needed a little bit of education on how to properly do it. So I hope that's what you gleaned from this video. That's why I like to do these videos. I want you guys to be educated on how to work through these problems. As always, if your pet has a specific condition, consult your veterinarian. Obesity can be a condition and they'd be happy to work, through that with you because there are some medical things that can cause obesity as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you are new and you'd like to subscribe, that would be awesome. I'd love to have you. And until next time, ciao.